What's going on, legend? But welcome back to Beyond the 90, and it's 0-0, Leicester Coventry. And I'm feeling a bit flat. Um, Partly because I can't quite put my finger on why. In one short sentence, things that it wasn't a terrible performance, wasn't a great performance. Part were great, but it's a bit like the 0-0. Is it a terrible result? No. Is it an amazing result? No. Especially with it being at home. There were some really good parts of the game. And this might be an element of Marty is still getting grips to his squad, his players. Some people were coming into the squad for the first time. That could be an element. Again, like a lot of things, it's multiple areas. Some of our players did really well. I want to say Yannick Vestergaard, to be honest with him, had a good game. Walt Fass looked, for his first game, actually looked quite good at times. And then all the times looks like a bozo. I think we all know that. Um, but there was and Coventry were like the same. They had some great opportunities. I think we had the better opportunities. Overall, a draw is probably the fair result for that. But I want to break it down and go into some specifics. So, first thing we do, let's look at the lineup because I can't lie. When I saw that, I thought we're going for it. This is a really good opportunity to go and play our football. So we set up like this. So we had, as we can see here, Slagic in goal. A couple of changes at the back. Normally, we only see one or two changes. We've got two changes this time. Vestergaard and Thomas keep their place. I think I've mentioned before how the fact that I'm not as comfortable with them two, especially when Luke Thomas signing another deal until 2029. And I'm going, there was a lot of discourse. I'm not, as somebody on low wages who's going to be a backup if we get the Prem, sure. Does I fill it with, oh, wow. It just gives me it's okay. Um, but initially I thought, okay, why? But anyway, I thought he had an okay game. Didn't do like for me, he had a bit of a steady Eddie game, which I think he's a steady Eddie kind of player. However, his crosses from the set pieces, from corners and things, I was quite disappointed with. And I think that's something I wanted to mention. I'll mention later on. Yannick, on the other hand, I know it says 8 rating here. I think he had such a strong game. Um, you're always worried when we lose the ball because I think we did a few times. We did lose the ball sloppily in defensive positions, and I'm always worried when Yannick's out of position, going, "Oh my God, who's going to be in the cover behind him?" However, something that I noticed today is his physicality and his ability to actually get past a man. And we've not, even in under Enzo, we didn't really see him. We saw him get the ball and distribute, but at times he bodied somebody out of the way, took a defender, then ran forward, then got the pass, which I thought was good. One thing that I think just on him, and I think it's something that he dictated play quite a lot, which I think was good. Couple of things that I think he could have done better, and I think this is not just for him, that's just for the team in general. We're learning to play these kind of Marty loves these kind of diamond shapes that he likes to play and the team. So there's a one pass, pam, 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 one touch football, really nice, really quick, efficient football. However, on other parts of the game, we do need, and this is going to sound really old fashioned. I think they're learning one way, but they need to play the right time. And Enzo used to do this really well. Look for the long ball. If you've got Fatawu going and running, if you've got Jordan Ayew going and running, just give him the long ball and see what we can do with it. Because at times I understand, look, I've said give Marty until December to get the football he wants to play. He's already said that he wants December. I said he'll give him to December. Give him the opportunity, and I think he will come good. Um, However, at times when we were playing, it did slow down a bit, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just that if we do this and we give away oppositions, a few times we gave away opportunities in our defensive positions, on our midfield positions, and I thought if that's in the Prem, that's a goal. I thought that a few times, and Coventry did miss some not clear cut opportunities, some good opportunities that I think Premier League teams would have absolutely punished us for. So, in terms of what we've got coming up in the rest of the team and what the rest of the squad, I'm happy, but it wasn't great. It wasn't terrible. A little bit of a mix of both. Anyway, a little bit of a tangent there. Let's get back to the lineup. Walt Fuss, who I thought was actually decent in the game. Again, he had some bozo moments. I think him in these kind of games, he was great, especially when we were looking at long, sustained periods of the game. He had this really good ability to close, press, and win the ball back, and then play a short pass, which I really enjoyed. Um, I think that while it was again, I think he was decent today's game. All considered, there were some bozo moments. Don't get me wrong, but with Wow, I think that the way he plays and his relationship with Yannick, I think Coley needs to be dropped because I don't think he's been good enough. So I'm quite glad he made one of those changes. While look good considering it's his first game back. I think he's got to rebuild, especially in defensive positions. That's why I was surprised he's changed so many different players in the back line. He changed half the back line out that started against the previous team. Brains going blank. Who that was with the 2-2 draw. Um, Oxford, I should say. So coming into this one, thinking, okay, we're moving in the right direction. Fast will look decent. Ricardo, his first start, again, I think he was building into the game a bit. He wasn't bad. He wasn't. I wouldn't say he was good or great, but considering it was a decent performance from him. I see that I know what Ricardo. We know, the problem is we know what Ricardo is capable of, and we've seen he could be one of the best players. But he's coming back from an injury, and we just need to slowly build him in. And I think that giving him the first start and changing Hamza over and bringing Hamza on in the second half, I think that's where we saw a lot more. We saw the levels actually between Ricardo and Hamza. Hamza gave the ball away in a few positions. I think at the right back, when they were tiring a little bit, couldn't cope with a top level winger. I think at times the formation from corners we were out of place. I remember Hamza just panicking almost, go right, I'll just hit it out of play. Fair enough. If you're not sure, just get it out, get it clear, and then we can regroup and get together again. So I can see what's happening now is we're slowly starting to get Ricardo more into the team and phase out Chowdhury, which I'm not too fussed about. I think we have to pick our players for our time. So Ricardo can't play 90 minutes week in, week out. He's too injury prone. We can't afford to lose him. So I understand when they took him off after 60, 70 minutes. I would like to see us go against weaker oppositions. I would bring on Ricardo as the super sub in place of Chowdhury so that he can be more of the attacking if we need the points. Just like we had in the last couple of games where Birmingham and Oxford, he's come off the bench and actually punished the team. In this game, I thought he was decent. But yeah, there's definitely room for improvement. I think that's the word that I'm looking for in a lot of this. There is room for improvement, and I feel a little bit frustrated because we could do better, but I'm behind the trajectory and where we're going to go, and all the other factors considered. So there were two players that came in for the session for the game, and obviously with Ramsey being out, he also swapped over Oliver Skip and Harry Winks. Well, I thought Harry Winks had another for me a good game. Um, there's people calling for him to start. I think that he does. He is better than Skip. I think we all can agree. And in sometimes in the Premier League, in the Championship, he is a cut above the rest of them. I think using him as a super sub is actually the right idea. Oliver Skip wasn't as good in the last game. Surprised he stayed on for the full 90 minutes. I'm glad that Harry Winks has got the start against a stronger opposition. And I think this is where Marty's looking to utilise the squad of the team. So, for example, Hamza didn't cope as well in the second half as Ricardo did, but Ricardo can't play full 90 minutes. Same with with the way that Coventry set up with kind of they made it very hard to play through the middle. So we ended up going round and trying to play things around the outside. And we looked like we were getting there, but I think part of it is down to the way that Coventry set up defensively. I thought they were really quite strong. Considering they're going away, they don't need to create that much, but I think their poor finishing will come into our poor finishing as well. A point is probably the right result. Their poor finishing let them down, but their defensive elements were great. I think his name was, is it Rushmore? What was his name? Rushworth. Keeper, I think, did some really good saves, a couple of outstanding saves, and a couple of really smart saves. I think that's one word I want to use him. Really smart saves throughout. And they looked quite decent. In terms of the way that Leicester performed, um, yeah, it was a little bit. There was some really nice build-up play and a really nice way we'd get the ball into certain positions and bring in these people. We just couldn't finish today. Mavididi kind of exemplified that. The one-on-one was a perfect example. Mavididi, I think, considering the levels that we know he could hit, he just wasn't at it today. Um, he gave it a good go, and I'm not going to blame him for it because he's still a good player. He's still um, a good player for the squad. He just hasn't had the start, and we all know how good of levels he can be. And I think he knew it as well. If you watch when he came off against, he was head. He was like, he was applauding the fans and he was doing that. But at the same time, he was like, his head was down. He was looking, going, I could have done more. And I think that's how the fans felt. We still appreciated him and clapped him off, but his one-on-one opportunity. There's a couple of other half chances where he did good, but you're looking at it going, I think he knows he's had a lot of opportunities, a lot of minutes where Monga's come in and Monga's there. It must be a bit degrading, let's be honest. Imagine you're at your job and you're his age, what, 27, 28, and somebody's going to replace you and they're 16 years old. Doesn't matter if they're one of the most talented players that the academy's ever produced. He's still a 16-year-old and it's still going to hurt your ego. Um, and there's nothing again. I would feel the same way. So he came off and he was disappointed, not because he was thought, "Oh, I'm terrible." He just thought, "I could have done more, could have done better with it." So Mavididi, it kind of summed up his game today, summed up how he's been a lot of the season. Getting to good opportunities, just didn't make the right part choice. We lacked a bit of give me the ball, I will do this with it. And I don't think in the next game I'm looking at going, do you start Monga? And I think, I'll be honest, that's the same team I'd play against West Brom. West Brom are doing well at the moment. I think they lost. Let's have a look at the team at the moment. They're in the top six at the moment as well of time. Well, just top seven as time of recording. So they're going to be another team. So against that, if we can get a win away at West Brom, I think this point will look less bad. It's not a terrible point. It's still a good point, but we have to be honest and go, look, we have got something more from this? The answer is probably yes. And we probably could have got something else. It's frustrating because I think a lot of my frustration as well is because we're nearly there. We get into good positions. The players are picking the right passes. The quality was better than Coventry's team, and both teams were battling for possession. But I think Coventry eventually knew that, look, we're not going to try and get possession off these guys because they've got superior talent. So we've got to find another way of playing into them. And normally we've seen in teams going back before, teams would just go, right, we're going to knock into them. I don't think Coventry did it as much. I don't think it was a Larry up for the game as it usually is. I think that was part of the issue as well. I think everybody was really excited for the N69 derby, especially for the two that happened last season. And it felt a bit, it wasn't bad, it just felt a bit poor. Not like hugely poor, but there were some missed opportunities from them. We missed a few good opportunities. And I think, let's be honest, go, look, call it quits, take the point and move on. Um, and I think a couple of, but some, I wanted to concentrate on some positives as well. First time we saw James starting for us, I've been really impressed with him. He reminds me of playing and he almost, and this will sound rude, but he almost seems like, considering his age, he's like Kiernan Dewsbury Hall, but with the advantage of he's more physical. I'd say what is he better at dribbling? It's a weird one because the thing is, I don't like comparing players like this because the problem is you end up negating or downplaying one of the players if so. So I don't want to say always like James Dewsbury Hall, but more physical because then that's kind of like downgrading Dewsbury Hall, who I'd have back in the team, let's be honest, and think would work. I think considering he was playing higher, yeah, that one opportunity that came to him didn't quite get clean. However, considering he's 21, he plays way more experience beyond his years. And I'm really excited to see if we can buy him. I think he does want to stay here to be honest with you, from his interviews they've put out. I'd recommend listening to the one he did before the Oxford game and how he really wants to be here. His initial interview where he talks about his dad and him talking about this might be the right club for him and that he's the right kind of club that will be interested. His time in the in Championship in Ligue 1 didn't really work out. So I like him. I think he was a real shining star when we played today. Um, Yeah, I think there was some really good stuff that he did. His physicality I liked. His ability, bearing in mind he's not been with the team a long time, and he fitted quite well in the 10, but also pushing as the when we needed to defend him, and he came alongside Samore and Winks, who play really well. Samore had one of his better games, and credit to him, he battled. Um, and I think that I'm not going to sing his praises too much because we've seen it before. Him go, right, he's really, yeah, this is him, this is Samore. And then the next game, he doesn't really turn up. He doesn't give me the same like amazingness as before. So with Samore, he had a good game. Not going to lie. Fatawu again looked good at times when we got the ball out to him. Again, I think he had that moment where, similar to I think Fiorentina, where he went around and then came in and then just hit it. And I thought, there it is. Didn't quite come off. Was it a bad shot? No. Was it just not? It wasn't up to Fatawu's normal levels and the levels that we know he can hit. And I think all that's the current thing that I'm spotting throughout. Is it up to the current levels that I know the team can hit? And it's probably not, but it is progress, and the progress is going to be slow. And this is a good team. Bear in mind they smashed who was it 7-0, 7-1 or something, QPR or something. So we're still building. Frank Lampard's had that team for a longer period of time, and we are still in the infant stages of Marty. With a job, you normally take 6 months to bed in, find your role, and understand how you fit into the team, etc. I think Marty's done really well. This is still a point in the right direction. It's better we do that than lose, but we could have won that with better finishing, and that's still a good place to be in. I think something I wanted to mention as well. The finishing was lacking. Ayew at times isn't that vocal man that I need. I think the team need him to be. I think with Carranza came on, I would have probably taken Ayew off and put D over Reed on. And this might be an unpopular opinion, but I think that D over Reed could do a good job in the 10. And give the Carranza something to think about because at times the ball drops to him and Ayew just doesn't have the pace to get up, and he does hold up the ball, but in this game there was just something missing, and I think it was that focal point. We saw Carranza had 30 minutes or so. I think he looked physical. I think he had one opportunity, which was like a half chance. It looked good because of where he was standing. He did well for the header. I think we need to capitalize more off these set pieces. I think he's a player that we need to start aiming for. If we are just getting in and whipping in crosses, I think it's an old school way of doing things, but I think it works. We've got a striker that we can do that now. And from set pieces, again, at times, I remember towards the second half, towards the latter eight stages of the game, we had Luke Thomas on corners, we had Samori there, we had a Carranza there, we had Vestergaard there. We're thinking, okay, they're taller than the majority of players on that pitch, especially Vestergaard. And there was a bit of like pushing, etc. But I don't think we capitalised on it enough. Partly that's because the set piece and the opportunities they need to be better. And at times we were in a really good position. The balls come in, and I was thinking, okay, look, we've got a corner now. Let's see what we can do with it. And it just ended. Some of the time, it just ended in nothing. And I was quite disappointed. But yeah, I think there were some good players overall. I think James was a real highlight for me. I think on the rating I showed you before, I got 6.6, which I think was harsh. I think he could have done better. I think he should have done better than that. Who I mentioned as well. Monga. Again, we know the levels of Monga. He was there, he tried it, and I think it just wasn't working out for him. And this is also why Marty's a bit skeptical about playing him from the beginning to damaging his confidence. And I think he's a young player, youth, he's not got any fear. I think their defender played him quite well as well. What was his name? Was it Van Uwijk or De Silva? So Van Uwijk played him quite well in the game. So I'm really excited to see what the team does going forward. It wasn't quite the game that we wanted, but I think there's still lots of benefits of where we can take the team. So I don't think there's anything else I want to mention. Manga's getting there. I'm still developing. So hopefully that was a little bit of a rant. It's a bit of a weird game to commentate on because there wasn't any like amazing moments apart from the manga one-on-one. But it's not saying it was bad. It's just a really weird mix of emotions for this one. Anyway, we move on to the game against West Brom. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. So goodbye.